Pick the outcome you need, first of all. Find someone who's doing that strategy that leads you to that outcome and give them everything. Work for free.
Okay.
Something I wish I'd have done on my first deal that I did was, rather than taking a loan and wanting to keep 100% of it, wish I would have joint ventured with someone who had experience, and I'd have said, I'll find the deal, I'll run around, I just want to learn from you, I'll take 10%.
Guys, welcome back to another podcast from me, Ste Hamilton, and today I have a special guest, and I'm going to let him introduce himself and he can explain a little bit about what he does, and then we'll dive into what he's good at and what he's not good at. So take it away, please.
Thank you, mate. So I'm Jack Wicks and a property investor of 10 years. So I've got all the cuts and bruises. But predominantly now we do rent to social housing and social housing in general, acquisitions for clients as well as ourselves. But yeah, plenty I've done wrong before right, that's for sure.
Okay, so brief introduction.
Yep.
And you did mention that you can go off on a tangent.
Yep.
So not going to go into did you sell sweets as a kid and all the entrepreneurial stuff that everybody has the story with.
I did the equivalents, to be fair.
You've got to tell me now. Now I'm intrigued. Go on, please tell me.
I did all sorts. I burnt CDs of Football Manager when I was like 12, sold them. My mum was helping me, getting me the discs and all the rest of it.
So you do have the background story?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I used to go to America. I used to get them like rubber Nike bands. Used to bring them home, sell them at school, a lot, yeah.
Oh, so you do have a proper entrepreneurial background.
It's my mum and car boots.
Okay.
She used to be she still is. You name anything you want, however specific, my mum will go to a car boot and she'll find it straight away for £1.
Do you have that in you?
I do actually, yeah. I'm tight, if that's what you mean.
Yeah,
I get the tight from my dad as well, so it's like a perfect combination of those things. Entrepreneurial from my mum, being tight from my dad.
Well, it's not a bad thing to be, is it?
There you go.
Because you can be very loose with your money.
Yep.
And end up in a lot of sticky situations, shall we say. Okay, so property.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Why? What's the story? Why is it you? What made you jump into that out of everything you could have done with your life?
Yeah, so I've always been entrepreneurial, not just like those old stories, but I've worked in pubs my whole life. My older brother worked in pubs. He got me my first jobs when I was 16, polishing cutlery, clearing, all that sort of stuff. And it was the freedom that I got from that led me to love it. So I was there for quite a long time. I did it until I was, I want to say, maybe 20, maybe even 21, something like that. And I loved it, but it was always just this thing of wanting more somewhere. I knew I wanted to do business, didn't know what. And then me and my brother travelling to work one day, and he opened a magazine, and it had, a free 3-day property course. And he was like, should we have a go at this? So we went along, and I can't remember who it was at the time, Tigrant. I think they've changed loads of times. One of these that, tip you upside down, see what you got, and then you're the perfect candidate for them type of people. But I will say, I found out that you could refinance a house for the increased amount and pull your money out. And that immediately, while I was sat there, I think I must have been 21 or 22, something like that. That was like, this light just went off, and I was like, this is it. I get it now. I get how people can amass a load of properties. I get that they don't just have 20 million sat in the bank and they buy all these houses. They refinance the funds and all that sort of stuff. And I sort of said to you earlier off camera that I'm quite visual, and all of these strategies that people were sort of asking questions that you'd think pretty basic, in my head it all fit together in my mind like really easily, and I was like, yep, we'll go down that route. So yeah, it was like almost an immediate acknowledgement of like, this is it. People, I know it's a wealth builder and it makes sense to me, and this is going to be it.
And 10 years later, you're still here?
There you go, just about. Yeah, just about. Having done every strategy there is, pretty much.
Okay.
Started with block of flats.
Yep. What do you mean, block of flats?
Bought a block of 4 flats as our first ever house.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you jumped in at the deep end.
Big time, yeah. And again, that's kind of like part of my story. I'm like, again, sort of undiagnosed ADHD brain. So nothing's too big. I'll have a go at everything and anything, because it makes sense. So why can't it be possible?
Yeah.
So yeah, me and my brother raised finance, bought a block of flats in Hastings. My parents were living there at the time, started doing the usual research. 3 years into a 5-year regeneration project they were in at the time. So we knew prices were probably going to go up. Got an off-market deal. Everything in that course came to fruition. We walked the streets for days, just ringing up boards. She said, "You don't want that one. I can introduce you to this guy." Went perfectly well. Refinanced every penny back out of it. 20 years old. I'm the bollocks. Told you all. I know exactly what to do. And then we went and bought a block of 10 flats with a shop. Grade 2 listed building.
And that's where you fucked up?
Yep. Seafront, sea views. You could see it was an ego purchase, 100%.
Well, you've done it. You thought you was the bollocks.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything just seems like it's going to be easy after that, and it all follows on.
Of course. And why wouldn't you triple the size of the building you're going to buy and the money that it costs to buy? £750,000 for a second house.
Yeah.
Didn't realise the intricacies of grade 2 listed either.
What
Looked
a
nothing
pain
into that.
in the arse they are.
Didn't get a survey on it. Didn't do any other research other than the agent that brought it to us and said, "Yeah, I reckon it'll be worth this much after." We were like, "Sweet, let's go for that then." But
Had
yeah,
you already spent the money in your head? Or was you or you know, like you knew there was a profit in there from what the agent told you?
Yeah.
Was there any of that at that age? Like, I can buy this, I can buy that. Or was it never been about that? It was all about what I'm going to do after that as well.
Never been bothered about that stuff.
Okay.
Weirdly not bothered about money at all, really, other than freedom and what I can do. Like, I don't know. I've always been more about looking after friends and family, and like that gives me more joy than stuff, really. So like I'm acutely aware, even more now. It sounds really grim, and sorry, mum and dad, but I know they're going to die soon, or in the next 20 years or so, and in my lifetime, my parents are going to die. So it's more important than ever for me to kind of look after them and make sure they're good.
Yeah. So you're a realist.
Yeah, it's a weird term, but yeah.
You are a realist, but you dream big.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Obviously, like at the upper end of that, I think like I'll give stuff a go. I'll take a risk, absolutely, every time.
Calculated risk.
Sometimes
more now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, when you were young,
I'm more aware now than ever of my intricacies and the downsides and what I'm good at and bad at. I think that's so important for people who are starting out. To understand what you're not good at is more important than understanding what you're good at. I'm good at probably one or two things, and that is generally, weirdly, just like being a people person and being. I'm happy to go and meet people. My wife's always found it weird that I'll just turn up to a networking event or somewhere on my own, and I'll just
self-awareness is key.
Just go and turn up and chat to some people. And the best that's happened to us has come from random meetings or just taking a risk and going, I'm going to drive to Birmingham and come for a meeting. Those little things that most people won't do, especially now after COVID. Way easier to sit on a laptop and try and find deals on Zoopla and Rightmove rather than going in and speaking to an agent, which is really scary. It's only scary because it's scary how moronic agents can be. All of them, by the way. No one's free of that.
So,
who's an agent?
Yeah, I have to get this across to you right now. I was with Tej Talks.
Mm-hmm.
I told you off camera I was with Tej Talks last week, and I spent the day with him, and I told him that you was coming on the channel. And the first thing he said to me was, "You're going to really like this guy because he just speaks his mind, unlike a lot of people in this property world." And some people, it's like Marmite, isn't it? Some people like you, some people don't like you. But this estate agent thing that you're touching on now, I have serious problems with it, because I know people who are estate agents, have been estate agents for about a month, and you would think that they've been in property for 20 years.
Yeah.
They're giving advice. They're telling you what end values are. They have no clue what day of the week it is. They've done no test. They've done nothing, and they're giving you advice. And there's so many people, as in over there is the sourcing division. There's some newbies in that sourcing division, and when they speak to agents, they're like, "Oh, the agent said this," and I'm like, "Why are you listening to the agent?" "Oh, because they're an estate agent," and they put on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And it really winds me up. I genuinely think you need to have a test to become an estate agent. I think you need some kind of degree or something to be an estate agent. And you said how moronic they can be. Give me some experiences that you've had where you've actually gone, you have no idea what you're talking about.
It's everything. I mean, everyone's walked into a house and you ask a very obvious question. Of course, "Oh, I don't know, I've never been here." Why are you sending someone round who's never been to the house? And I don't even need you there, realistically.
Yeah.
If you've never been there, just open the door. Let me have a look around. I think even down to the fact, why are you wearing a suit? Pointless. What are you trying to portray? Especially the shit ones that you're wearing. Do you know what I mean? You've got 16-year-olds draped in their dad's suit, It's just a weird industry that it seems unchanged over the years. Why do I have to give you a final offer, sealed bid? Why? Just tell me how much someone's offered. I can tell you whether I can offer more or not.
I like that mentality. That's really cool, because if someone's offered £85,000 or 100,000, 500,000, tell me, because then I know whether I can beat it or not, or whether I need to go on to the next one, or whether I'm wasting your time and making phone calls going backwards and forwards and sealed bids and all that kind of stuff. It just wastes everybody's
Property's
time.
full of delays. Solicitors, but they're like just underneath the agent for me in terms of bellendatory, whatever you want to call them. Then you've got the solicitors. You've got 3 different solicitors that you obviously need in a transaction for a property. There's just so many delays that can happen all along that process, and agents delay it unnecessarily at the start because they want to try and trick you into offering more than you normally would. And it's just such a weird. I think it can be so simply dealt with. It's one of them things that you think I could change that industry pretty quickly just by letting the agents not wear a suit and making everybody more comfortable in the whole. Like, that's just the basics.
It's a power thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but equally, like, what can you offer? Well, there's a bid that's offered that. All right, I'll go look at something else then.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why are you taking me for a viewing?
I like that.
I don't know. Even in letting agency, you're going to get the 16-year-olds who don't have a clue what a tenancy agreement is, and then you try and explain to them about what about a commercial lease. They don't have a clue. Like halfway up the chain, they still don't know.
Yeah.
Especially when you start talking about creative strategies, lease options, and that kind of stuff. It's like, no, we don't do that.
Yeah, and you're baffling the brains there, because there's a lot of them, like you said, that don't know. Well, that leads me on to something quite nicely, actually. Do you know Tyrone Ash? Have you heard of him?
I've heard of him. Yeah, seen a bit of him. Yeah.
So he's trying to change the whole industry, from
How?
what I can see. But
How?
he's still wearing the suits.
He's still wearing the
He's just doing it
smoking
on
cigars,
social media.
Obviously.
Yep, obviously, because everyone in London who does property
Yeah.
has to smoke a cigar, has to drink the brandy as well, and the way it goes. But what do you think of what he's doing and the way he's saying he's trying to get? So it's Savills he's got a big problem with, from what I can see online.
Yep.
And he's trying to create this door knocking and social media and hiring all these glamorous people, a little bit like Selling Sunset.
Yeah.
I know Tyrone. He came to one of my networking events, and we've got mutual friends, and I've had a few conversations with him. What's your take on it?
I just don't see how it's changing the game in any real way.
Okay.
It's certainly not changing the opinion of the outsider on estate agents, that's
Yep.
for sure. I don't know. It's an ego thing for me. It looks very ego-driven.
Yep.
Very much so. Why else would you go and get, like you say, making it all glam and sticking all, like, social media, very important.
Yep.
But why does it have to be this, like, money getting thrown around everywhere type scenario? Like, if I want to sell my house, I don't have to deal with that. Do you know what I mean? I just want to sell my house.
Would you
what
prefer
it's
a guy
worth.
that turns up, very casual, straight talking, I can sell your house for you, this is what your house is worth, I'll get 10 people around, I'll find out which one's the highest bid, and I'll let you know?
I think if someone turned up, like, and obviously he's dealing with a lot of high-end stuff, so it's probably different in that level.
Do you think it should be?
Yeah, if that's what he wants to do. I mean, it's
Not him, sorry. Do you think, you know how people are judged on the way they're dressed,
Yeah.
and the way and then they're perceived in a certain way? When it, like you say, it's high end, high net worth. Do you think you need to approach these people in suits and stuff, or do you think?
Not particularly. I don't know. It depends whether it's old money or new, but old money probably. Yeah.
Yep.
You need to go in there with the whole respect thing, and it's not that you're disrespectful to others, but it's a different level. It's like, when I started 10 years ago having an armful of tattoos, it was a bit weird for people, and I actually it was one of my first ever posts that went sort of really well on LinkedIn, and I said, would you feel uncomfortable if I was in a room? Would you come and speak to me, or would you find that uncomfortable? And there was one person who admitted, and he said, that's just the perception and what I've grown up to know. And I said, like, my reaction to that, even if it's 1 in 100, it's no problem for me to wear a long sleeve. If I'm going to make someone uncomfortable, I'll cover it up.
Yep.
If it means that person speaks to me, and then we have a good conversation, and then I roll my sleeve up and goes, oh my God, I've been talking to you and you've got tattoos.
Yeah.
And it's like, immediately you've changed someone's perception. I don't know. I think nowadays it's less important, which is why I think an estate agent, for the Joe Bloggs, normal standard houses, just wears like a smart polo and a pair of jeans. And that will make the clients feel more comfortable. It will make everyone feel more comfortable. It will make them feel more comfortable. I feel like there's something missing there. But anyway, I won't be the one to fix it, that's for sure.
You're not going to try?
No.
No intentions of anything to do with estate agents, lettings?
No.
Because you said you try anything and you're quite open to ideas, aren't you?
Yeah, I would be if it fits in with my lifestyle idea and that kind of thing. I think everything for me has to be efficient in terms of my time and whether I enjoy it or not.
Strategy? Where are you at right now then?
Social housing all day long. So people get a little bit confused with social housing. They're always like, yeah, but you still have to manage it through the council. We don't deal with councils. We deal with contracts. So they can be between 5 and 10 years, sometimes 20, very rarely, but we tend to deal with the 5 to 10 year leases.
Explain social housing in simple terms for people who are watching this podcast who don't understand it at all. They have no knowledge of it. They've just heard the term.
Yeah, so social housing is quite broad. And it is someone who is on benefits, someone who maybe is homeless, a broad range of, it could be alcoholism, drug use, whatever. And there are 11,000 different social housing providers in the UK at the minute. Some absolute rubbish. They're just like Joe Bloggs who's decided to call it a social housing provider. Probably won't give you the security you need as a landlord. But then it goes all the way up to a £3.4 billion contract, which is backed by the government for asylum seekers. There are the broad ranges of them, and we kind of deal with that top end one that has the security of tenure, and that's what's important. Tenants are so well protected now, it's crazy. They can do what they want. They can not pay you for various reasons. They can smash your house up. I've had it all, and there is so much about property that is unpredictable. So I'd like to try and make as much of it predictable as I can. So if you're buying a house, you've got to actually hope and pray that it doesn't fall through for a myriad of reasons. If you actually end up buying it, well done, but now you've got to deal with a load of dickhead builders who won't turn up and charge you more than they should and then tell you, oh, that's going to be, yeah, you need to get that done, sorry mate, all of that crap. And then you've got to deal with actually getting a tenant in for the money you hoped, and then you've got to manage them. You've got to deal with another letting agent who's going to say they're going to do it all at 5% and then not. So we try and just manage what we can. So we do rent to rent a lot now. Allows us to get them quicker. A lot less. We have to do a refurbs, usually small, because we deal with what do you call them? Going 100 mile an hour here. The student market. So they're already HMOs. So there's very small changes we need to make, and then we put the lease provider in, and that's it, taken care of, done, 10 years, sorted, income done. Utilities, they don't make a difference to us. The utility price rise, fine, just means more properties on for us, because the social housing provider deal with it. They deal with the management, they deal with the maintenance. They'll then have to put the property back in the same condition at the end of the contract. There's so many benefits that just like, once it's signed off, you're just like a breath of fresh air, done. That's the money coming in for the next 10 years.
Okay, so you just have to check the bank at the end of every month.
That's it.
And that's your main strategy today?
Yeah, so we've gone through acquiring and we source them for clients as well. Not so much now because the market's crazy. The returns aren't quite what you'd hope, because generally the providers will pay slightly less than market value because of what you're getting from it. Not always, but often. So we were actually approached and asked to do rent to rent with this model because they need so many people housed out of hotels, which they're currently staying in. So that's what we did. We did, I think, 40 deals in our first 18 months. Just got a new contract on housing the homeless, which is allowing us to do between 10 and 20 rent-to-rent deals a month.
Okay, that's good.
So we've got to a point where we're having to source them. We haven't got an endless bit of money.
Yeah.
So we source them for clients, generally around the 50% ROI yearly. And we take our fee from it. We buy 1 to 2 a month ourselves and continue to build our portfolio of them as well.
Okay, so you're building your generational wealth, cash flow, and a strong business.
Yeah. So I mean, we sort of spoke about it briefly, but I sold my house 18 months ago. I've lived in my own house for, a purchased home since I was 22, and I just saw this as an opportunity I needed to grasp. And so all of our money went into it. My entire life savings are in social housing. And a year later, all of my living expenses are covered every single month, guaranteed with a contract.
So where did the light bulb moment come from for you to say, don't want to have a home anymore?
It's always been in the back of my head, but I delayed it because you could go and put it in an HMO and you could end up with utility prices going up double. And then all of a sudden, you're not covering your costs anymore. Or you could have 2 void periods or a bad tenant who doesn't pay, and then the rest don't pay. There's loads of bits that when you're putting your family's home on the line, you wouldn't want to risk. The minute we had that security of tenure, I was like, that's it, done.
Okay. Again, self-aware.
Yeah, in some senses. And again, a lot of it's business partner, being a lot more settled than I am. Didn't want to go running around doing 100 things. Let's focus on one thing. Let's get that right. And we again, they're quite difficult to get signed off, these deals. They're not just easy little refurbs. They're quite pedantic because they're going to take control of it for 10 years. So once we got over that hurdles of like refurbs going up more than they should have, and bad previous business partner who just had the complete wrong ethics and that kind of stuff, we're really big on that. You know, we've closed companies down and continued to investors that were owed money. We paid them from our other business just to make sure that no one was ever left out.
Credibility, obviously keeping your credibility so people will still come back. And
well, most of last year, our profits, pretty much the majority of that went back into paying people from the previous business partner who decided he wouldn't have anything to do with paying those guys.
Okay.
And that's him. And like, I don't know, I think those things pay you back eventually, always. I've had a few people be like, oh, I watched your video from a year ago. So that's why I decided to invest. And it's like, oh, I saw how you dealt with that person. I spoke to this person and he said you handled something really well. And it's all those things. At the time, you think, I could probably just pie them off. Yeah. Go and start something new, like so many people do. But that's going to come round and back on you, and you'll get what you deserve.
Well, you're a long-term thinker. You can see the future. You're not in it for a quick buck and in and out, and then work on something else.
It's hard. It's hard, though, because there's quick money there. You know, I could probably go and do... Obviously, I've stopped doing education because it was taking me away from the business. And I think there are a lot better people out there that do it better than me. So they can crack on. But if I wanted to make a load of money, I could probably do that, sell out a course pretty easily, I'd say.
Yeah, because you have the experience. You're very charismatic. You come across well. Fantastic speaker. And you tell the truth, which people see. I think that's why you do really well. But there are a lot of sharks out there.
Loads. And there'll be more and more because it's proven to be a money thing. You know, you see it all the time, especially in rent to rent. It's a quick, I can make loads of money from none. Yeah, which is also not true. You still need, some of our deals are nearly 20 grand to get into.
Yep.
And people don't see that. Like the no money down thing, I think, is an ideology. People look into that too seriously. They think I can get into something with £0.
Well, I think it's kind of like this is gonna sound really bad and something that I don't really shout out a lot about, but sofa bums, people who have big dreams but sit on the sofa and don't do nothing. And if you say to them, right, you need to work for 5 years, give it your all, and you'll be really successful, or sign up to this course, give someone £2,000, and in 28 days you'll be financially free. They're always going to pick the 28-day financial free, and that's what these kind of course sellers prey on. Them people, they don't want the intelligent people. They're not trying to build a future with people, and it's such a sad thing to see because they will spend their hard-earned money, or if it's not hard-earned and they've just been given it, on the easy life and the easy dream. And that's what stresses me out about it a lot.
You see people hop as well.
We
From
see
course
all the time.
to course to course. Oh, they're on public speaking now. They were on like something else a month ago. They were meant to be doing like service accommodation. Now they're public speaking. What are you going to be talking about? Some fuck all. It's like you have to have something to talk about if you're going to do that. I don't know. I think I had an element of that because once we had initial success with rent to rent, which we did professionals before, I then needed the next thing. And the problem with property, which is also why I like it, is there's so many options within the same industry. You can go so many different ways with it. But that also delayed me. Probably had 2 years of trying and not sourcing, developments, commercial, all that sort of stuff can really divert your attention. And I think the thing that I would say to everybody is think outcome first. So people who want to quit their job, you have to think about that outcome first. Is it £2,000 that gets you out of your job? Well, how do you get there quicker? If you then don't want to do rent to rent, which has got you out of there, then you reassess afterwards because your outcome's changed. Most of property will make you money, but it has to be something that you'll be consistent with and enjoy, but also it has to get to your end goal. Like if you need cash flow, don't do a development that's going to get you a big lump in 2 years, if you're lucky, because it's just not relevant. It doesn't make sense. And I think people get a little bit caught up with what they should do and that has to be a decision for 10 years. But the lucky thing is within property, you can change as your outcome gets hit and as your outcome changes. I've got a kid now. My outcome changed massively when he was born 3 years ago. Got another one on the way, so that's probably going to change as well. Like,
congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Got a month. So yeah, it's little things like that. It's like time all of a sudden is way more valuable. When you're younger, you can chuck, it doesn't matter so much. But like I said about your parents, some people don't see their parents for a month. It's like, what if something happens, because you're in the office or whatever. So I think it all has to be based on outcome.
How do you balance then? How do you find the work-life balance? Now you've got a child on the way.
Yeah.
You've already got one. Is your missus involved in the world with you, or does she have a separate
far
career?
from it. No, she's a graphic designer and wants to stay well away from anything to do. Because I take risks, but like if she knew half of the risks that I've taken over the years, she would have pure anxiety. Okay. So it makes sense. She does her own thing, and we both work from home and stuff like that. So we're both lucky in a sense of time. But it's very easy to make a decision that then takes that time away from you. With a business, you can make one decision and all of a sudden you are firefighting and you're there till whatever time in the night and you're not there to pick your son up from school and that kind of thing. So I'm really, really just aware of decisions I make now, making sure that they're not going to all of a sudden take me away.
Okay. So you found your niche at the moment. Can you see it changing?
No, I don't think it needs to, because I can't see an outcome that would change away from this now. The consistent income. We will acquire houses, by the way. So that's part of the grand plan. But they will be social housing. So
you'll just buy them straight out to the contracts, like you said.
Yeah.
10 years, hopefully, on each one. You said that they're quite pedantic about what they want done now. Give us a breakdown of, like, when you get a rent-to-rent from somebody, what are the key points that they look for now? So I'm presuming, off the top of my head, boiler systems have to be more or less brand spanking if they're taking it for 10 years. Central heating, obviously, with the rewires and stuff. Are we on the right tracks here?
Yeah. Again, with the bigger stuff. I mean, the stuff that's already HMOs, ex-student stock, we'd be better off converting a house that wasn't an HMO price-wise, because the level, the standard they've done. I mean, we're talking gaps above doors like that. No door closers, or that they won't. I mean, door closers never close doors, it seems, in any HMO.
Yeah.
And yeah, all those things you have to change. A lot of it is clean, safe. That's kind of the model. We're not going to be putting, I don't know, what are people putting on walls these days, like AstroTurf or fucking plants halfway up a wall because it sells a room better.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry about that stuff. It's clean, tidy, safe for the individuals.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to think these guys are asylum seekers. They are fleeing a war-torn country generally, but we don't want them to live in crap, so they have to be safe. But that can cost a lot of money to do that stuff right, and people don't see that, because you can bodge a lot of stuff and hide a lot of stuff, but it can cost a lot of money to get that stuff right. But yeah, generally speaking, it is fire regs, but they'll come up with random stuff to test us. I mean, we had one 3-story house. He then decided to sign it off, we'd need to put a gate out the back to use the bottom room, because a garden has to be as long as the house is tall.
New one to me.
Exactly. And how would that rule make any sense to anyone? And it's to do with the heat of the fire. But yeah, I mean, it makes no sense. So we had to go and smash a wall out the back.
Don't sound like he's being pedantic. It sounded like he's being a bit of a dick.
Yeah, but he's one of these guys again. Hopefully he doesn't listen to this. You probably know it's him. He's like, so I would, but gonna have to do it. We don't, do you know what I mean? It's like,
it's one of them.
Just giving it sorry guys, and gives you like spud trying to be your mate, and then gives you this big list. But yeah, you have to deal with it. We're having meetings with them actually, because we are the biggest provider that they have. We're having meetings with them because we're not going to work with them unless we have a set process, because there's 4 different people that view those places and they all have a different opinion.
And you want to work to a list that they all fall under, so you know what your job is, what your criteria is when you get the house. Get this done, give it you, I know it's good. Mm-hmm. I don't want to keep coming back having to make alterations. Is that what it is?
It is, because we have a list, we get that done, everyone's off site, and then another person comes in, did he say that, did he? Oh, no, you need to change that. And it's like, now we've got to get a load of people back again. I mean, one of them walked in and went, you know that feeling you get? I feel like it needs new carpets. Like, are you joking? You can't give us a feeling. And then we changed one carpet, and now you've decided you need the lot done. Like, it's just so inefficient.
Yeah.
So we're having conversations with the guys a bit higher up to sort of say, we want to work with you, and we can be your main guys.
Yeah. But
we need to do this in a structured manner.
Okay, that's good. Right, to end, I would like you to give everybody who's watching this podcast a couple of pieces of advice on getting into the property world. Now, doesn't matter what strategy they're going to use.
Don't.
Okay, yeah. There you go, that's it. But what would you tell someone who's young, hungry, ambitious, and watches a lot of YouTube? What piece of advice would you give them?
Pick the outcome you need, first of all. Find someone who's doing that strategy that leads you to that outcome and give them everything. Work for free.
Okay.
Something I wish I'd have done on my first deal that I did was, rather than taking a loan and wanting to keep 100% of it, I wish I would have joint ventured with someone who had experience, and I'd have said, I'll find the deal, I'll run around, I just want to learn from you, I'll take 10%, you take 90%. Get someone to fund it and teach you along the way, and take as little as you can, and then maybe even have the conversation that, look, in a year's time, once I've got some more experience, that will increase and I'll start to earn a bit more money.
Great advice. Very similar advice to what I actually say to people. Very important to be around the people who you can learn from. And if you have to work for free, you have to work for free.
It's easy to get greedy, I think. Especially when you have self-belief and you think you can do that. You'll be surprised. Property will kick you off.
It will, yeah. 30 minutes is up. Thank you so much for coming down. I massively appreciate it. I feel like we could have spoke for hours and hours and hours. But maybe we have another podcast in a couple of months.
Let's do it.
Updated one, and maybe change it a little bit. And you've got your YouTube channel up and coming, as in rebranding.
It will be, yeah.
And do you want to let everybody know what it's going to be about, or are you keeping it secret till it happens?
Yeah, no, I can tell people. Yeah, I'm an open book as always. Yeah, it's just Jack Wicks, and I am the people's entrepreneur.
Yep.
So I'm going to be talking about ranting, and I'm going to rant about stuff and people, as you can probably tell, but generally just helping people see the real life of somebody who is in business, the ups and the downs, and all the stuff that I feel like people are so protective of. They don't want to show that because it doesn't sell courses or give them money. So yeah.
Okay, so keep an eye out for that. Is it up and running, the channel?
It's there.
Okay, so the link will be in the description below. But thank you very much. Appreciate you coming down.
Thank you for having me.
And guys, I know you're going to enjoy this podcast, so please smash the like button. And also, any questions that you've got, it's okay for them to comment below and you'll answer them.
Yeah, and then Instagram, feel free to reach out on there. That's the predominant.
All of that will be in the description below. But I'm actually sad to see it end because there's so much more stuff I wanted to talk about. But guys, thank you very much, and I will catch you soon.